it is semiconductors that are fundamentally driving the global digital economy. They're at the brains of all of our high-tech devices, from cars to airplanes. And when you see that the island of Taiwan produces not just 20% of the world's semiconductors, but 92% of the world's most sophisticated semiconductors, those operating at the sub-7 nanometer level, yes, should there be a disruption of chip supply from the island of Taiwan, that would be, highly dangerous and deleterious to the entire global economy.
You said before that Taiwan has an outsized contribution to America's security and economic interests. Can you summarize why that is?
Considering the equation from a purely economic security perspective, we've already talked about how important the supply of Taiwanese semiconductors are to the U.S. and to the global economy. But it's not just that Taiwan supplies semiconductors. In fact, 86% of Taiwan's exports going to the United States, and the United States is Taiwan's second largest trading partner, but 86% of those exports are intermediate goods that fill into finished products in the US supply chain for things like automobiles, like airplanes, like electromachinery and capital equipment. So when we look at the combination of Taiwan's intermediate inputs into the US economy, they're greater than those of Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam combined.
An attack on Taiwan, what impact would that have on the global supply chains? Can you paint a picture of what the global impact might be?
Well, there's no question that it would be absolutely devastating. A consulting organization here in the United States called the Boston Consulting Group estimated that it would cost global electronic device manufacturers alone $500 billion. While if complete disruption were to become permanent, it could take a minimum of 3 years and $350 billion of investment to rebuild enough capacity across the rest of the world to replace the lost production from Taiwanese foundries. And that's just 1 year of potential disruption. And of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be an armed conflict. If China were to decide to blockade or to prevent exports from the island, that would have a similar effect.
China has been trying to make the same sort of chips as Taiwan for years, but failed. Why is that the case?
First is that innovating at the leading edge of semiconductor design is enormously expensive and requires enormous economies of scale. And the install base of human capital knowledge, of technical knowledge, is not easy at all to replicate. That would be, I think, the most fundamental factor. Secondly, in our view, is that the way in which China has gone about trying to develop its semiconductor ecosystem, essentially what you have is a set of strategies that are closed loop. They are designed in such a way that they're not voluntarily incorporating talent and knowledge and intellectual property from the rest of the world. So then China has to go about those types of policies by either trying to steal intellectual property, by trying to acquire foreign competitors, or by trying to attract engineers to like the 1,000 Talents program. So the point is, if you're designing a system and you're trying to support an industry that is walled off from global best practice, global best of breed, then you're going to, by definition, be putting yourself at a disadvantage and making it harder to innovate in this sector, despite the fact that China is able to throw tens of billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of engineers at them. So the failure to compete, in our view, is kind of a result of, frankly, the communist system.